Ladies and gentlemen, you could look at articles in The Hill and elsewhere, ABC News. You can look at Chuck Schumer's, the Democratic Party website, the Senate.gov, Democrats.senate.gov. You can look at other publications talking about how Chuck Schumer and the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and House Leader Hakeem Jeffries sending letters to Rupert Murdoch. This was the beginning of March. Now you have Tucker Carlson fired, sending letters telling Rupert Murdoch to stop lying. And it's like, okay, where are the letters from Mitch McConnell? I think that, Mitch McConnell should be sending the same letter as Chuck Schumer to MSNBC and CNN. But Mitch McConnell doesn't care if MSNBC and CNN lies routinely every day about Trump. We've entered a realm where sensibilities now define truth. Not whether you can back something up, and not whether you can be suspicious or have a vantage point based on fact, logic, or reason where you distrust something. It's information that misinforms, and the information that misinforms always happens to be a conservative viewpoint. The information that is agreed upon by the experts and by a general consensus of normal and sane people is just always the Democratic Party viewpoint. And so now we have a defamation suit. Fox News, in a I would say almost cowardly and gutless settlement, just gave $780 million. I don't understand if they say, well, Paul Ryan's on the board of directors. It's like, well, I don't understand how that helps the network at all. They think they can move on from Tucker Carlson. They could just find a replacement. But at the end of the day, they're still going to have to cover Trump. And Trump will never acquiesce to the sacred cows and the false idols, sacred cows, the paradigm that, the wonderful, morally superior, highly educated liberal Democrats who are almost always apoplectic abide by. He's going to commit heresy and blasphemy like RFK Jr. and like Tucker Carlson, Trump. These people do not adhere in many cases to the prevailing mentality on foreign policy or domestic policy. And we are 90 seconds to midnight, according to the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, because of Biden's foreign policy. We would not have had an invasion in Europe if Trump were president. We wouldn't have had the 6 to 8% inflation. We didn't have the invasion with Trump as president. We had record low poverty with Trump. And that's pretty much, this has now become just an exercise in public relations and utilizing law and political allegiance, or I should say momentum, on your side. And so they managed to suspend the New York Post. People did not have accurate information about the Hunter Biden laptop, which was full of felonies. You have people obsessing over Trump while their cities are descending into madness. Foreign policy, we have not in my lifetime been in such a terrible position. In the past 40 plus years, we have not been in such a dire situation. And this is because we shut down economic activity, and that was not Trump's fault. That was the policy and the objective and the desire of Democratic governors, media, bureaucrats. There were bureaucrats saying, oh my God, we should have shut down and done exactly what the most populous country in the world was doing. So you have a situation, ladies and gentlemen, where in March, Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and other Democrats, I believe there were other Democrats on that letter, send either an ultimatum or they did send a letter. Now, I'm speculating now, which I'm allowed to do, allowed to have my own viewpoint. I'm not accusing anyone of definitely doing something. It's not a conspiratorial theory, which is what Democrats espouse all the time when it comes to nonsense like Trump being an operative of the Kremlin and a whole bunch of other things they lied about, endless things they lied about. It's very likely that Fox News caved into political pressure. It's very likely that they were intimidated by a possible wave of future lawsuits, which, by the way, they're going to experience anyway. If you give an inch to somebody who's trying to extort you, they're going to take a mile. If you give a finger, they'll take an arm. If somebody is trying to give you an ultimatum in life, they're not going to abide by the ultimatum. If you try to acquiesce in any way, they will then see that as weakness and go for everything. So, Fox News, perhaps Rupert Murdoch, said, "Oh, well, we'll get Tucker Carlson out of here. He's too controversial. All of media doesn't like him. And the top Democrats in the country have asked for him to, in a letter, and this is all, public record, have asked for him to be ousted." Okay, now where does Fox News go from here? They've alienated the majority of their viewership. Democrats are running on extreme MAGA Republicans. Nobody believes that anymore. There is no little portion of the Republican Party. If you know anything about politics, you do understand that the entire Republican Party is controlled by former President Donald Trump, as any former president who was as popular as Trump would control their political party. The Paul Ryans of the world, the Adam Kinzingers, have zero influence within the Republican Party. They're essentially, Democratic operatives. So, Democratic Party operatives. So, I don't understand, do they just want to go bankrupt? Do they not want to, who knows what their vantage point is? Who knows what their vantage point is? According to Alan Dershowitz, and hit subscribe to this channel, hit subscribe to Alan Dershowitz's channel. It's pretty awesome on YouTube. According to Alan Dershowitz, you have to prove damages. And that corporation did not prove that they had been financially damaged by the reporting on Fox. Fox News had people on their network that said things that weren't accurate or controversial about a corporation. Okay. Numerous statements about Trump and other corporations in Arizona and elsewhere, statements were made and opinions were given, but Trump can't sue Fox or can't sue CNN or MSNBC or the New York Times or the Washington Post for some reason. So the defamation suits it was in Delaware, so it's like you have this situation where they wanted to settle fine. If they wanted to do that for $780 million, that's their prerogative. But to deny their viewership, the most popular host, it's really interesting because he was too effective. See, Don Lemon was fired from CNN because he was too ineffective. What happens with a conservative is that when they're too effective, when they're too convincing, when they're too articulate, when they're able to communicate in a profound manner or a very effective manner, then they're ousted. And so this was almost certainly some type of political maneuvering on the part of possibly Rupert Murdoch, possibly people around, in positions of influence within Fox News, some kind of agreement with Schumer and other Democrats. Maybe the agreement was, hey, you know what? We'll just tone down the lawsuits. We won't sue you as much as we would had you kept Tucker Carlson. At the end of the day, though, for the life of me, I don't know how this benefits. This was like a backroom, almost extortion type of situation where MSNBC and CNN would never do anything of the sort if Republicans sent a letter to them to fire a personality on their side of the political spectrum. Okay. ABC would never fire Jimmy Kimmel. So I don't understand. It's really interesting. This whole thing is really interesting. It baffles me. but there's almost certainly some type of agreement or some kind of possible proverbial handshake. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now.